support the truth. Don't look away.
Metal doors slam open under flashing sirens. Voices shout in Khmer and Mandarin. Hands up, down. A dozen officers flood the narrow corridor, stepping over tangled wires, empty food boxes, and hundreds of glowing screens. August 2024, a compound near Sihanoukville. The air smells of burnt plastic and fear. Young men sit frozen, their faces lit by the pale blue glow of monitors. On each screen, fake crypto dashboards, half-written love messages, and chat windows with victims around the world. A police flashlight cuts through the dark, revealing bunks stacked 3 high, padlocks on doors, and a wall painted red with one chilling phrase: love, money. A voice trembles off camera. They told us to make them fall in love until they lost everything. Within hours, over 2,000 people are pulled from cages of screens and silence. But for every compound unlocked, 3 more stay hidden, still running, still typing. The world will call it a rescue. But inside those walls, the truth feels nothing like salvation. How did a paradise of beaches and casinos turn into a digital prison? And who's still profiting from it? Before the raids and the headlines, Sihanoukville was a promise. A fishing town turned gold rush, where blue seas met flashing neon. Between 2016 and 2019, a wave of Chinese investment transformed its quiet coast into something unrecognizable. Towers of glass, casinos open all night, and Mandarin signs glowing brighter than the moon. Locals called it Little Macau, but the dream didn't last. In 2019, China banned online gambling. Overnight, billions vanished, or so it seemed. In truth, the money didn't leave, it simply mutated. Abandoned casinos were sealed off, reinforced with fences and guards, and quietly reborn as special economic zones. Behind their tinted glass, a darker business emerged, one that didn't need roulette tables or tourists. It needed people. Online ads began spreading across Asia. Work in Cambodia, high salary, free housing, visa provided. Thousands applied from rural China, Thailand, India, the Philippines. Young, hopeful, and broke, they dreamed of better lives. They packed suitcases, said goodbye to families, and boarded flights to Phnom Penh. At the airport, smiling recruiters waited with signs. They took passports for visa processing. They offered bottled water and drove them to compounds near the coast. Then the doors locked. Phones were confiscated, windows sealed. The training began. Inside, rows of desks filled every room. New arrivals were taught to build fake personas, charming men and women who lured strangers online into romance scams and crypto investments. Supervisors stood behind them with sticks, ready to punish anyone who failed to meet daily profit targets. If you bring in $10,000, you eat. If you fail twice, you disappear. The network was industrial. Chinese financiers managed the funds, Cambodian enforcers handled security, and shell companies in Hong Kong and Dubai laundered billions in cryptocurrency. By 2022, satellite imagery revealed more than 20 compounds along Cambodia's southern coast, walled, armed, and humming with digital slavery. To the outside world, it looked like business parks. Inside, it was a prison of Wi-Fi and fear. And as victims begged for help, the world scrolled past, unaware that thousands of digital ghosts were typing from the edge of paradise. The first signs of trouble didn't come from Cambodia, they came from the missing posters. In Bangkok, in Manila, in Shenzhen, parents printed the faces of their children and taped them to embassy gates. All had vanished after taking customer service jobs in Cambodia. Weeks later, some received short messages. Please send help. They took my passport. Don't trust the company. It's not what it seems. Each text came from a new number, then silence. By early 2023, Interpol analysts noticed a pattern. Dozens of fake recruitment companies sharing the same Cambodian phone codes and IP ranges. But when local police tried to investigate, they hit an invisible wall, private security forces, fenced compounds, and, too often, political connections. Inside Cambodia, one journalist refused to look away. Mek Dara, a local reporter known for his quiet persistence, infiltrated online job chats. Using a fake profile, he joined Telegram groups run by recruiters. Within hours of sending, "I'm ready to come," his phone rang. A voice offered a flight, a work permit, and a bright future. He traced the call back to an address linked to a major casino conglomerate in Sihanoukville, a company long rumored to shelter illegal operations. The deeper he dug, the clearer it became. These compounds were not isolated. They were part of a vast, coordinated system. Meanwhile, at the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, cyber analysts were following the money. Billions of dollars in tethered cryptocurrency were bouncing between wallets in Cambodia, the Philippines, and Dubai. Every transfer was disguised, every account linked to shell corporations with no employees. One analyst described it bluntly: "This isn't organized crime. It's organized capitalism without ethics." Then came the first escape. In January 2024, Li Wei, a 27-year-old from Shenzhen, slipped out of a compound during a delivery run. He walked for 2 nights barefoot through jungle before reaching a police checkpoint. When reporters found him, his wrists were still marked from cable ties. "They electrocuted us," he said. "If we cried, they laughed. We were forced to scam strangers for money, love scams, crypto scams, anything. We were products." His testimony broke Cambodia's silence. Major outlets CNN, Al Jazeera, Reuters launched investigations. Drone footage captured night shots of guarded rooftops, barbed wire fences, and factory-like dorms glowing blue in the dark. The world finally looked and recoiled. The pressure grew unbearable. By mid-2024, embassies, NGOs, and the US State Department began demanding action. Human rights groups released satellite data naming specific compounds tied to forced labor. Cambodia's leaders could no longer deny it. Prime Minister Hun Manet appeared on state television promising a nationwide crackdown. Within days, police convoys rolled through Sihanoukville. They raided warehouses, seized computers, and opened locked rooms filled with hundreds of confiscated passports. But even as the raids began, whispers spread. Someone had tipped off the bosses. Trucks left in the night. Hard drives vanished. Inside one compound, investigators found only a whiteboard with 3 English words written in red marker: love, money. The operation freed more than 2,000 people, but for every rescued worker, another disappeared. And as cameras swarmed the headlines, the question hung heavy. Had Cambodia just dismantled a crime or staged a rescue for the world to see? International pressure was building. Global media, human rights groups, and Western governments demanded justice. Under that scrutiny, the next act was inevitable, a courtroom reckoning that would test whether Cambodia truly meant to clean its own house. The courtroom in Phnom Penh was sweltering. Cameras lined the back wall. Embassy officials filled the front row. For weeks, Cambodia had been under a microscope. CNN headlines, amnesty statements, pressure from Washington and Brussels. Now the world waited to see if justice was real, or just another performance for the cameras. Behind a pane of scratched glass, the defendants sat in silence, a mix of Cambodian nationals, Chinese businessmen, and 2 men wearing gold watches whose names appeared on no corporate record. Their eyes never met the victims. Prosecutors began with evidence seized in the raid's ledgers, showing daily profit quotas, photos of bruised workers, and encrypted chat logs where managers joked about milking whales. One image froze the room. A wall in red paint reading, "Love, money." Witness after witness took the stand. A Thai survivor, hands trembling, said softly, "They promised me an IT job. They took my passport and told me I belonged to them." Another, from the Philippines, described seeing colleagues shocked with electric cables for missing targets. The translation was slow, heavy, every pause felt like a wound reopening. Defense lawyers called it all misunderstanding, voluntary employment, they said, disciplinary enforcement, but no one in the room believed them. Even the interpreter's voice cracked on the word voluntary. Then came the turn that silenced the crowd. An investigator from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime took the stand, presenting a map of blockchain transactions. Lines of light connected Cambodia to Dubai, Hong Kong, and the United States. The network's financial trail, he said, is proof of a systemic industry protected at multiple levels. The judge's brow tightened. The room buzzed with whispers, diplomats taking notes, reporters typing furiously. After hours of arguments, a judge in Phnom Penh returned with the decision. The lights flickered as he read. The court finds the defendants guilty of human trafficking, forced labor, and financial fraud. Applause broke out, restrained, uncertain. The guilty were led away, sentenced to 10 to 15 years. But in the corridors, the mood was far from victory. Everyone knew what hadn't been said. The real masterminds, the financiers, the political patrons, had vanished weeks before the raids. Outside, a cluster of survivors waited behind barricades. Li Wei, now thin but resolute, spoke to the microphones. Justice is not done until the bosses are in prison. We are free, but thousands are still there. Reporters caught every word. Cameras flashed as he lowered his head. At that exact moment, the electricity cut out a brief power outage, plunging the courtroom into darkness. Only the strobes from journalists' flashes remained, freezing faces in white light. It felt symbolic, a flicker of justice surrounded by shadows. In 2024-2025, Cambodian police raided several compounds and rescued more than 2,000 victims. But human rights groups allege systemic corruption and complicity among officials, allowing many networks to continue. When the cameras packed up and the headlines faded, silence returned to the coast. The compounds didn't disappear, they simply changed their names. Within months, new signs appeared: Tech Park, E-Commerce Zone, Digital Innovation Center. Digital Innovation Center. The lights flickered back on, the guards wore new uniforms, and the same business resumed under different paperwork. For the rescued, freedom was only half the story. Many had no passports, no savings, no country to return to. They slept in NGO shelters, staring at their hands, the same hands that had once typed out lies for strangers. Some couldn't bring themselves to touch a phone again. Others scrolled endlessly, searching the faces of those they'd deceived, whispering silent apologies no one would ever read. In China, India, and the Philippines, families reunited in tears, but their joy carried guilt. Their children had survived while countless others had not. Governments promised investigations, hotlines, and reforms, but the web of corruption ran deep. The masterminds had gone underground, some rumored to be operating now from Myanmar, Laos, even Dubai. Meanwhile, human rights groups kept watch. New satellite images showed fresh construction on the same coastal zones once raided. Whistleblowers described bribes paid to reopen closed facilities. And every few weeks, a new plea surfaced on Telegram or TikTok. "I'm trapped in Cambodia. Please help me." Yet something fundamental had changed. The myth of Sihanoukville as a paradise for quick riches had shattered. The world now saw the truth, a glittering skyline built on exploitation and silence. At dusk, journalists revisiting the compounds found abandoned computers still glowing faintly in dark rooms. One screen showed a frozen chat window, an unfinished message that read, "Hello, my love. Trust me, this will change your life." It had, but not in the way anyone imagined. Because in this new age, slavery no longer hides in chains or shadows. It hides in blue light, the glow of a screen, the heartbeat of a message, and the quiet click of someone, somewhere, still typing.